After logging into your account, click the briefcase icon, click on the Create New Project button, and add a name to your project. This is generally your client's name to keep things organized. We'll call it the first assignment for this case. In the description, this is optional. You can put in any information that you'd like that's critical to your project. It could be a view direction, could be the room size. And then when you're set with the description notes, scroll down and click Save and Create Scene. The scene will be our actually working area that will be creating the 3D environment. We'll call it Living Room. You need to give it a name. Description again is optional. We'll start from blank, which means that we're creating our own space, and then launch. It'll open up a new window. And I always like to maximize my screen by clicking on the icon in the top right. As soon as that orange bar shows up, click that. And now we've got our working area. Click it, it'll open the scene. There's our working area. And effectively, this is a grid board that is 1/4 inch to a foot each square. I like to maximize my working area by clicking on that icon, the first grid icon on the right-hand side. And that'll drop that middle line down to the bottom part of the screen to give myself the largest working window possible. Next, we'll go up and we'll select our wall tool and then click any spot on the grid with our left mouse, click once, and then anytime we change direction, click again. And then connect the dots and then click one more time, and that'll finish your room. Now you can see the dimensions are showing up. Now we want to adjust our room size by adjusting our wall lengths. So we select any wall, and then using the nudge tool, again Control, and then the arrow key you want to move the wall into. Each tap is 1/2 inch. And we'll adjust the side walls by adjusting this bottom wall, Control, and arrow key. So select, Control, and then the arrow keys will move at 1/2 inch each tap. After you've created the room and resized it correctly, you need to add windows and doors, and they'll be under architectural elements. And then we'll select the first category of doors, hit enter or search, and then select the closest to your client's real world item, and of course resizing it as needed. If you need to change the swing direction of the door as we're opening outward, you would select the object, so the controls would show up, click and hold over the green icon, and I've moved it to the right or left to rotate accordingly. So you click and hold. You do not go around the item, you simply touch and click and hold the icon. Next, we'll add our windows, and we'll have architectural elements already up. We'll just change our subcategory to windows and hit enter or search. And again, select the closest that your client has in their home, and you adjust it accordingly. As you can see, we have multiple pages of window results, so just click and find the one you want. Drag the selected item in, place it over a wall, it'll snap in place, and then the idea is to resize it again to whatever is required. So each change, hit the apply button, and then if you need a duplicate, you simply hit the copy button and then reposition that copy as it shoots off to the right. This is again where the nudge tool comes in handy. So you select the item and then hold the Control key down and then use the arrow keys to nudge in the direction. Next, we're going to add an opening into our room, or a passageway, or a wall cutout. So we'll select our wall cutout option subcategory and then hit enter or search. And then we'll select, in this case we want one with trim. So we'll select the item in and drag it over top of the wall and let go. Center as needed and resize as needed. The idea that you'd want to find the closest with trim to the actual real world size is the best, to not have to adjust in width too much to save any distortion. Any adjustment changes, hit the apply. And we'll go to a full screen, and we're going to take our first snapshot. I'm using my mouse wheel to zoom in, and we'll center, and then we will click the icon right there. We have just taken a snapshot of our blueprint view, and we've clicked the floor and we'll take another snapshot, and this will allow us to capture an image with the dimensions. Next, we're going to click our 2D view type, and this will give us our colorized or 3D view at the top. And because we don't want the grass to show, we'll turn off our background. With the icon on the right, there's our blueprint view with the background off. Next, we're going to add molding, or like baseboard initially and crown molding. So in this view, it really shows there's obviously a best view for certain tasks. This is not the best for adding trim. This is our bird's eye view, or our 2D 3D view. And in this one, you can see all the walls, and it's easier to add all the baseboard or trim elements in this one view, and then even paint the room in this view. You can add art and window treatments and stuff in this view. It just makes that much easier instead of having to try to guess in blueprint view or try to do it in 3D view. This is the most effective. To illustrate that point further of having the best view type for a certain task, we're going to swap out our passageway for a 40-inch wide. I can use the link to go to the wall cutouts and object properties. We'll place our item. And in blueprint view, it's easier to see the symbol to make it adjustments versus having to select small objects in 3D view. Here you can see that the passageway is completely hidden. It's embedded in the wall, so it would make it difficult to select. Now we're adding materials. We're going to add some flooring. So we select our flooring and then hardwood as a subcategory. You'll see two images of each type of wood for each orientation. You do not need to remove to change the material. You simply just drag a new one on. There's our view in bird's eye view. Now we're in 3D view. In 3D view, we get to navigate through our space by using the joystick. I'm using my left mouse button on the center portion of the joystick on the top right, and every now and then I will tap my D key to bump myself to the right, or A key to bump myself to the left in combination. It takes a little bit of practice, but once you get the hang of it, you'll find it very, very easy to work with. Next, I'm going to finish the door in a paint finish that is matching the trim. So I select any trim piece, in this case the baseboard, and then find out what's on it, and I can drag that finish onto the items that I want to paint. Go to full screen. Using my mouse wheel to tilt down, and I can open my doors. Clicking on the doorknobs, there are animations on most doors. Clicking again will close. These are also found under the tab Object Properties at the very bottom under Animations, and what will open it. This object has more fabrics and finished materials that are already attached to it that you can experiment with. In this case, it's the infill panel for the door, where you can change the glass type. Or in the case that we prefer, we would like to make this a solid door by dragging on a solid paint finish, which will fill in where there once was glass. If I need to undo any changes, I can hit my undo or back arrow. Next, we're going to add our fireplace. So we'll go to our product category, and in fact this case it has its own category, not in architectural elements, but its own under fireplaces and wood stoves. And we can either hit search to do a broad search, or we can narrow the category down and select in subcategories. In this case I'll use a flat panel insert fireplace. And in our bird's eye view, we can certainly see it easier than any of the top-down 2D. It's there, it's just very small and hidden below the crown molding. So we switch our view type to one that we can see it better. Selecting any item will allow you to zoom to that object. Now we're going to select the fireplace and then switch to our 3D view that we want to see it in, and then select the zoom to view, and it'll put us front and center of the item we selected. Next, we're going to start designing our space. We're going to be adding seating and sectionals, and so we'll, as we look at our seating category, we do the drop down and we can see different collection names. This isn't terribly helpful when we're looking for sort of generic sectionals, so that we can combine a search for sectionals with using the keyword search. In fact, I'll just use the sectional as a keyword itself and hit search to see what comes up. I'll use this pre-configured two-part sectional item to place, consisting of a left arm chaise and a right arm condo sofa. And bird's eye view, you can see the walls and places. Any 2D top-down view is good for furniture placement. Next, we're going to add an area rug, and in this case I'll use the keyword search. The rugs that resulted in this, the ones that have an image on it, are actually not changeable for the style of the rug, but you certainly can change the size. In this case I'll use our live on screen resizing tool, clicking the orange icon, using the yellow nodes to adjust to the size I need. You can see the dimensions on the edges, and then hitting the orange icon again and just placing it where I need it. I didn't like that rug, so I swapped it out for a little better one. Now we're going to add some end tables. So we'll select tables as a category, and we can pick our end subcategory. Try the Zo Modern, little round end. Place one over here. I can copy and drag the copy over. We'll add a coffee table. Now let's add some table lamps. Under lighting, there are table lamps. Now of course you can use the keyword search as you get used to what is in the catalog. You can get there quicker by using the search or saving objects to your favorites and drawing them in from your favorites library. I'll use this lamp here and place it. It goes automatically. It sees the table and it will go on top. Make a copy again. Now we could have made a table and a lamp and copied those two together, but we did this separately. There's our 3D view. As we navigate around, again, I've got my joystick with the left mouse button, and I can use my A or the D key to make those little side adjustments to give myself a great angle, and then I can use my mouse wheel to make those angle adjustments, and I've just taken a snapshot. Switch to our top-down 2D view and get another snapshot. Do our bird's eye view, using our mouse wheel to adjust up a little bit and left click to pan to center our view, and another shot. All of these snapshots are building up in the snapshots tab that you can take them and then go get them whenever needed or download as required. I'll be showing you that in a few seconds. So I'm angling for another view of the corner. Now I can use icons on the top right that will level the camera at different camera heights. In this case we're using the seating icon to adjust it to that person's eye level. I can also use my mouse wheel. I can toggle forward to lower my angle, and I can use the R key to rise. I can use the F key to fall. So R to rise, F to fall. And using the joystick, I can get whatever angle I want in that 3D space. I decided I didn't like that wall art. I'm going to change that out. Again, we can use our nudge tool, select it, control, and then the up arrow to drive it upward half an inch, or left or right as needed. Next, I'm going to add the little details that are critical for an accurate design. Things like plugs and switches that need to be visible and part of a accurate plan. select the style you want. They'll come in at default height, which you can adjust, again using the nudge tool. Here I'm placing switches on the wall, and then I'm going to zoom to that object to navigate directly in front of it by using our zoomed object function. I want a completely white switch. You can drag anything on there, of course, but there are presets. I've made a copy, and I can just nudge it in there as if it's a 4-panel or gang switch. Our snapshots. Here's where we've taken all of our snapshots. We can select any snapshot and zoom back to that view that we've taken using that orange arrow. Next, we'll add some accessories to make the place a little bit more interesting. You can use the category drop downs to see the types of accessories that are in the system, and once you're aware and know what they are, again, you can save them to favorites or do a keyword search that takes you directly to them. So we're going to add some plants. Of course, they're all resizable. Often with the planter base that you can change its material as well. Using armchair as a keyword search, we can bring in our American leather recliner, position it with a rotation, zooming to object into the view that we wanted to see it in. We'll add some art to the wall. In this case, we'll use a template shape that will put some art materials on top of. So we pick the size that we want as a template, and we can make a copy and adjust it to the second wall and position it. Materials tab and an art keyword search. We can apply any of these to our template. Depending on the shape of the art itself and the shape of the template, some may need to adjust it, or you're finding the correct template for the shape that you're using. Next, we'll add some pillows to our sectional. We have a pillow template that will allow you to drag any fabric or material onto the pillow itself. I positioned it and made a copy and rotate a little bit to make it look natural. I'll zoom into 3D, and because I've got it selected, I can zoom back to that pillow. Multi-select the items, which is select one and then can hold the control down and select the other. So now we'll add pillows to the other side. So we'll use what we put in, make copies of it. Now because we didn't group them together, they're still separate, so we can position them again in a more natural placement. And now we can start making a group if we want. So we select the sofa and then click Group Selected Items to keep the items grouped together until you want to ungroup them. Next, we'll find some fabric for our pillows. If we use the snapshots that we've taken before, we can select a view to jump back to make any modifications. I'm going to maneuver around and add some window treatments. So under Products, and I'll use my keyword search, Window Treatments. This object has an auto snap, which means it adjusts to the width of the window automatically. So it says you have to adjust its size, but you do have to adjust the height if it's off. So I just make a copy of the one that's the correct. Place it. Now I'll add some more accessories. I'll modify the table length a little bit. Now I'll make a copy for the other side. And now we'll fill in this empty wall area. We'll add some accessories to the shelves. Zoom to object put me on the back side of this item. So I'll try a different way to get there. I select the wall and then hit zoom to that wall, and now I'm moving forward. And then toggle down to give myself a good view. We'll add a piece of art on the wall. Propped items always look better, so I'll add a few more accessories. And you can't forget the guitar. We'll fill in this wall with a nice big clock. And the last thing I wanted to add is what's called a blocker. And essentially it's an object that goes on the outside of a door or an opening that creates a ghost-like image. And in fact, you can either leave it the way it is, or you can upload your own image that would represent a picture of that room. Instead of you having to create the room, you can upload a picture to it. And there is our 3D space.